However, straight away, I love WWE, I love AEW, I love my mum, I love my dad, I kind of love my sister, sometimes she winds me up, but I guess that's what happens to siblings. The point is, you can have loads of loves for lots of things, but still be fascinated by the facts and still be fascinated by the statistics and still be fascinated by what's happening in the wider world. So we have to stop all this infighting, and yet here I am, Simon Miller, with a video that is clearly going to trigger some infighting. But while everyone does go, oh my gosh, ratings and demos, I think there's another number out there which is even more crazy than all of this, and I am of course talking about live attendances. To the point, AEW may be turning the tide when it comes to WWE. Why? Here's why. And that's right, yes, it's time to get into ticket sales, that one metric that just vanished for 18 months when the world closed down. And also I want to make it very clear that pro wrestling in general right now is doing pretty damn well. Because WWE has sold out huge buildings, SummerSlam was absolutely rammed, AEW did Arthur Ashe, they basically took over Chicago for a while, and even over here in the UK when it comes to indie wrestling, which I am very fortunate enough to wrestle on here and there is still people coming out to watch a little bit of sports entertainment. The interest is there. When we start comparing some buildings though, what the flubble sticks is going on? Now, if you are a wrestling historian, you know that from the dawn of time, WWE has always been known as New York, or that's a territory that they've always been associated with because Vince McMahon Sr., he basically ruled the roost. To the point, wrestlers would always go, oh, did you hear about so-and-so? They're going to New York, meaning they were going to the World Wrestling Federation. Now, I'm not saying that's going to change and WWE is still doing very well there, but let's get into it. Because recently AEW Dynamite ran in New Jersey and sold 12,000 tickets, which is pretty damn good. And yes, SmackDown also ran in Madison Square Garden and sold around 14,000 tickets, which is also awesome. But we've also mentioned the Arthur Ashe thing that AEW did, where they managed to put 20,000 people in a building, which of course was in New York. So I will let you draw your own conclusions from this. I am but the messenger. If you want to yell, go yell into the abyss and see if he yells back. There is more to this too, because we have a head-to-head battle just around the corner when we start talking about Long Island. Because on November the 29th, WWE rolls into the brand new UBS Arena, and 10 days later, Dynamite is going to be there as well. And in the latest episode of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, or at least what Dave Meltzer has been talking about in the past, he let us know some of the numbers. And once again, it was just like, oh my goodness. Because at one point, WWE had sold about 2,500 tickets, and AEW at the same time had sold 6,500. And what does this mean? Well, it means nothing. It means everything. And if you're a normal person with your head screwed on, you know it's just a bunch of figures to go, oh my God, isn't this cool? Isn't wrestling exciting? But I know how this goes. Somebody's gonna get like an Arn Anderson gun and go on a path. And it's not just in the Big Apple where we see things like this, because we can easily go back to September when both AEW and WWE went to Cincinnati. While they were there too, AEW wanted to run the US Bank Arena, but fair play to them, they said, oh no, we don't really want to do that. We have a long-standing relationship with WWE, and they're coming into town in a few weeks, so we'll pass. Do you know what AEW did? They ran the quote-unquote secondary arena, and they sold 6,500 tickets, and when Raw eventually got to the one we just talked about, they sold 1,000 less. That's just wild, right? It's absolutely crazy, and I'll use this juncture to remind you that I want all of these numbers to go up. I want all of them to increase, because whether you're watching Raw, whether you're watching SmackDown, Dynamite or Rampage, what is better than seeing a full house and hearing thousands of people just going crazy? I mean, that is what wrestling is all about. It can take an average show and make it great, and it can take a great show and make you think, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. That just helps everybody, including us with our asses sat on the couches at home for all the reasons I've just talked about. Wrestling and fans are basically as compatible as I am with something that you shave your head with. I suppose the real shock is that AEW has been able to catch up so quickly, given that they've only been around a couple of years. I mean, they have such an amazing fan base, they can announce a venue in Chicago without telling you what's going to be on it and sell, what was it, 14, 15, 16,000, probably even more. And I know you go, Simon, that was the CM Punk debut, but do you not think that ties in? Of course it ties in. CM Punk, Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, this is the reason people are flocking out of their houses and they want to see AEW live, because they think these guys are stars and they can't see them in WWE anymore. You gotta go to All Elite Wrestling. Going back to the Wrestling Observer too, Uncle Dave even told us how shocked he was when it came to Survivor Series, which once again is in the Barclays Center, which is located in New York. He was convinced, as were some other experts, that this was going to sell out instantly. And well, it didn't. And as of me talking, they have sold just shy of 7,000 tickets, so that's a lot of people. But it also means there's still a lot of tickets available. And I think the reason this has surprised people is because if you go back to SummerSlam 2018, which is yet another of these 5 events that WWE considered the big ones, they did sell out instantly. But what the fluff is going on? And once more, there's a huge chance that they do fill the entire thing. I mean, we've got ages till the Survivor Series. But it does make you go do. I mean, it doesn't do that. I just miss John Cena. So this is what people are talking about when they get into this whole wrestling war. And I, for one, am glad it's there. Not all the crazy negativity that goes along with it. But this is the kind of stuff you want because it means all shows have to be on their game all the damn time. Extra crowds allows wrestlers with more options, and more options just sparks creativity. And you know that's true because go and look at any of the programs for the last few weeks. I think every single damn one has been really, really good. So you just can't do the bare minimum anymore because it doesn't cut it, and that is not the same when you're the only game in town. Because what can you compare your numbers to? I mean, sure, you can compare your numbers to your old numbers, but that only takes you so far when you have somebody else's numbers. Well, just imagine you were doing it, right? You're Bill, and the other guy is Ted. You're running a wrestling company, and you're doing really well. Then Ted starts one, and he starts doing better than you. Are you going to sit there and go, man, I don't care? No, you're not. You're going to sit down and think, man, how can I go and whip Ted's ass? And you know who benefits the most? It's me here, this annoying bald asshole. I have no idea how this pans out long term, but I don't think either of them are also going to hit a brick wall. In fact, I think both of them are going to ensure that they do keep expanding. And once again, that means more great television shows for me. And that's a very selfish answer, but when I am sat there on a Monday or a Wednesday or a Friday, I can't worry about the financials of AEW or WWE. I can only worry about my entertainment financials. And right now, they are going through the roof. And when it comes to being a fan, nothing else matters. Apart from distraction finishes, sick of them. It's not actually true, you know. I say that and I make a big deal of it of ups and downs, but it's not true at all. I actually think the distraction finish is a fine way to end a wrestling match if you keep it to like one a show. But when you do 72 in a 2-hour period, well, my eyebrow goes up. Before I do leave you today as well, I will once again use history to try and prove my point, and I'm sure some of you weren't even born when this was going down, but just go look up the Monday Night Wars between WWF and WCW. They would try and find out what the other person was doing because they were just so desperate to be better. And having that feeling inside of your stomach and having that impetus to try and smash the hell out of somebody else, well, you shouldn't go that far. They did go too far. It should be like friendly, jab, jab, punch, punch, but it still does make for better TV. I think I've proven it all around. Now, please do leave a comment below, a nice comment, a normal comment, a calm comment, and let's have a chat about this because it is interesting, or at least I think so. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com where we will keep you up to date with the AEW news and the WWE news. Make sure you come follow us on social media, and we have a bunch of other videos. Go watch them all so you know every single thing about professional wrestling. My name is Simon for What Culture. Thank you very much for joining me as always. I like to think right now there is no nonsense going on. Don't make me put you in detention. Didn't know that, did you? I have the power to do that. I am your teacher. None of that is true. I'll just give you the salute and say goodbye.